Hey, what's up you guys? It's Tyler from the Herrintons, and we're back today with a brand new video. And today we are doing another film breakdown of one of our little same day edit / sneak peek videos. This time it's from Zack and Randa's wedding. They got married in Virginia Beach a couple weekends ago, and it was a beautiful day, and I'm really happy with the way that their little sneak peek came out. So I want to go through it. We're going to go through it shot by shot. We're going to break everything down. We're going to go in depth. I'm going to talk about the camera and the settings and the stabilizers and all that kind of stuff, and there's tons of little nuggets information hidden within these videos, so I really love doing these. Hopefully you guys like them too, but first off, if you haven't seen Zack and Randa's film, go check that out. It is on the YouTube channel. Go watch it. It's only a minute, so it's pretty quick to watch, so go watch that and then come back. Great, welcome back. All right, so we are going to jump right into it and we're going to get started. So as always, we are working in Premiere Pro CC 2017, and yeah, we're just going to go through this shot by shot. So they got married in Virginia Beach, and they got ready at Zack's dad's house, and then Randa got married or got ready at a friend's house down the road. So they got ready in two separate locations, and then we met up at the venue. So there was we did our first look at the house where Randa was getting ready, and then we went to the location. So again, the whole point of doing these little sneak peeks is really just to make it a teaser for the main film that's going to come out, and it gives us something to put on social media. So this, the point of this teaser isn't to show everything from the entire day, and it's not even necessarily to show our best clips. It's really just to entice people to want to come back and to watch the full film later, and to give the bride and groom kind of like a little sneak peek, get them excited for their film. So let's go through it. We're going to break it down, and we're going to go through it shot by shot. So here we go. So the opening shot, this first shot right here, is just super epic. So one thing to know about Zack is he is actually a, what is it? He is a producer on some really big like Hollywood commercials and stuff. And anyway, he works in the creative industry, he works in the creative field, and they both have this really cool, creative, like awesome vibe about the two of them. So I know he wanted to shoot this in a way that was extra cinematic, even more over the top, and a little bit more moody. So these first opening shots here were from sunset, which you can see, and we just got some awesome shots. So I was actually shooting a lot of this in slow-mo, which I don't always do a ton of slow-mo, but I knew for these guys and for their vibe and for the feel of this, I really wanted some slow-mo. So this first shot here is with the A6300, the 16mm pancake lens, and the Zhiyun crane. So I have the crane inverted, so it's super low to the ground, and I'm basically just like kneeling down pretty much with the crane almost on the ground, tilting up, giving me this nice, lower thirds composition that I really love. And you've got these awesome clouds up here, all the wispy clouds and everything. So you can see over here in our scopes that we have a really good exposure, right? We're not letting any of the sky blow out. This is something I was really being careful of. I didn't want to peak any of the sky, letting them being a little bit darker down here. They're kind of falling in this area here, but I think it looks super epic. So we can see this is what it was shot at. We cooled off a little bit, put our LUT over top of it. So this was before with no color correction, and then after. So what we were doing for these clips as far as color goes wasn't a whole lot. So we were boosting the contrast up here pretty significantly. We were warming it up, adding a little bit of magenta into our tint here. That I just like to do that for all my Sony footage. I think it just makes it look a little bit better and helps match the Canon footage more. But the big thing we're doing down here is we're cranking the saturation up all the way up to 173, which just helps to make the sky pop and make this, the light pop and all that kind of stuff. So we open up with the super epic wide shot, and then we go to this nice slow-mo shot of them walking. Her dress was just perfect for the slow-mo. Again, we've got this really nice looking exposure here on the water. It's a little bit dark, a little bit moody, but I really like it. So we're cranking the saturation not quite as high for this one, but we're still doing the same thing with our contrast. And then same thing here with the crane, 16mm, angled down, just, getting in this nice walking shot of their feet. And then we transition back to another walking shot here. Again, a little bit less on the saturation. I just thought when I started pumping it up way high, it started to look a little bit overdone. So I probably could have gone a little bit higher, but I think that looks pretty good. So we're going from wide to close to this kind of like medium tight walking shot.
Randa,
And then here we're bringing in some of his audio. So I like to bring in a little bit of audio for these. I don't want to use all of my best audio necessarily in these little sneak peeks, but I think having just a little bit of audio in there really does help to just make it that much more emotional and that much more significant. So we start bringing in the audio right about here. So right about the 10-second mark, I wanted to let the like epic music as it kind of like swells up come in first at the beginning, and then come in with this audio. But again, so for these guys, I was doing some stuff that I wouldn't normally do, but they're kind of inspiring me actually to be a little bit more creative. And I think we got some really cool stuff. So this is actually shot at 120 frames per second, which again, isn't something that I normally do, but for these guys, I thought it was super awesome. So I had them looking opposite directions, and then I had them just looking towards each other. And I think it looks super cool. You can actually see the light on the boat back here is flickering because it's such a slowed down shot. But I think it just looks super, super epic. So yeah, so open up with these nice epic boat sunset shots just because, you know, they look so good. They're just eye candy. They draw people in. And then we're going to go and do a little bit of prep stuff. So the groom, again, got ready in his dad's house, and his stepmom, I believe, is actually an interior designer. So his dad's house was super, super cool. They had tons of cool textures and just all this great stuff here for getting ready. So there was a nice little door right here with a glass window in it. So we've got some nice harsh light coming on him. Again, I wanted this to be a little bit more moody, a little bit more contrasty than maybe I would normally do, just because I knew them and I knew their styles and their personal aesthetics. So you can see we've got some nice, side light coming here. We were exposing this nicely for the highlights on his skin tones, with the shadow falling off to the side. If you want to see this straight out of camera, it was actually here. And then we brought it down and we cooled it off a little bit. So I'm actually bringing the exposure down by about half, 0.5. I warmed up a little bit, and then the LUT is doing a lot of the work. So we can see here, this is before and after. And I just really like the way that looks. So so this is really cool with this texture back here. So a medium-ish shot, and then these what are they called? Cufflinks were a gift that he got, so I thought that was cool to include. So we have a nice little pan up here from his cufflinks up to his bow tie. Again, not showing too much, just a little bit. We got, again, nice light, nice exposure. You can see over here, we're a little bit on the darker side, but right around here, which is probably his knuckles, you can see that we're not close to peaking or anything. Again, straight out of camera with the LUT and everything. And I think it just looks really good. I also brought the exposure down on this one just a tiny bit, just to make it a little bit more moody and to match sort of the rest of the stuff. Now we're coming over to some bride prep stuff. I love shooting with the 100mm macro. So this is the C100 with the 100mm macro, which, because of the crop sensor on the C100, is around 160 millimeters or so. So you can get some really, really cool shots like this, really nice and tight. I just really like the way this looks. These last two shots here were also shot with the C100. These were with the Sigma 18 to 35, probably around 2.2. That's where I usually like to shoot that one. So macro shot here, again, just looking really good. Nice little detail shot. Not showing off too much, just showing some nice looking shots. Good exposure on her skin. We've got good looking Lumetri scopes over here, and all that stuff is good. And we've got next we've got a detail shot of her picking the dress up off the bed. Again, just adding a little bit of motion. I thought her dress was really cool, so I thought that was a nice little transition shot. You
radiate love and joy,
stepping
like
into it and then getting into it. So really simple here. And underneath here, we still have Zacky's his vows from the ceremony are playing underneath, and it's just getting a little bit of context, a little bit of information about who they are, about them, and just enough to just make it a little bit more emotional.
You are my life and my love. Inti hayeti, hibik min kil abbe.
And you can see what I'm doing is I'm just, even though he's saying all this like back to back to back to back, I'm splicing it up and I'm spreading it out just a little bit, just to give it a little bit more air, make it take up a little bit more of the film, and allow it to time up with my shots a little bit better.
You radiate love and joy like no one I've ever met before.
So I love that he said, radiate joy and love like no one I've ever met before, right as we get this big smile from her. And actually one thing that I've been meaning to do for this film is actually, you can see this shot here this is the C100. This is my angle. This here is the 5D Mark III. This is Ash's angle. And one thing I've actually been meaning to do is this needs to be warmed up just a smidge, right about there, so that they match a little bit better. That was one thing that I noticed after I put the film up that I wanted to go back and do. So we'll warm that up a little bit. Add a little bit of magenta. Yeah, I think it looks good. Okay, so yeah, so here's the 5D Mark III. She's on an 85 millimeter 1.8, probably shooting around 2.5 if I had to guess. And she did a great job here. As she came around the corner, we got this nice focus on her. And then as she gets a little bit closer, she's going to rack focus back to him. You can see there he is. He's waiting, and we are kind of building the anticipation. And then here she comes to turn around again. So for this shot as well, I really need to warm this one up. And actually, I need to warm it up just a smidge. Yeah, there we go. I think that matches a lot better. So go from there to that. Maybe even a tiny bit more. Yeah, there we go. So I think that matches better. I don't know how I missed that the first time that I went through it, but I think that matches a lot better. So you can see we've got, we're kind of building the anticipation. We're kind of going back and forth. This is like one of my favorite parts from the whole day. So I really wanted to
I am so grateful to have you in my life.
And she turns around.
And for our angel Rima, who brought us together.
So really simple. There's more of that, and I'll probably add more of it into the final film, but I thought that was just a really great shot. And for this, we did have a side angle over here. We actually had the A6300 on the crane on its little feet sitting on like a ledge, but it was really, really tight from right here next to where Zack and Randa are was the edge of the porch. And I actually had I was like sitting on the porch, kind of leaning over it. So I couldn't go any further over. So we didn't really have a wide shot, but I think that these two shots pair really well together. And one important thing to note is that on this one, you can see here how he's on the right side of the frame. And then on here, he's on the right side of the frame as well. That really helps with continuity and makes it so your eye doesn't get confused as we go back and forth between these two different angles. It feels right. So that's something that's really important if you're doing something like this, or anytime you have multicam of something that's happening live, you want to make sure you're framing people on the same side of the frame so that when you cut back and forth, it feels very natural. If he was framed over here in this shot and over here on this shot, it would feel really bouncy, and your eye would notice the cuts a lot more. So
I am so grateful to have you in my life. And for our
little reaction,
who brought us together.
Now we're just going to do a quick transition into the ceremony stuff. Again, we don't want to show too much. We're just kind of teasing a little bit here, but I thought we had some, again, awesome light. We had this epic drone shot, and the groom and I talked a lot about the drone, so I knew it'd be really awesome for him to see some of the drone footage. So just a quick little drone shot that's in here with the boat moving, kind of pulling up and away from the venue.
All those years ago. I love you.
And then again, we kind of skipped over the whole ceremony. We'll put all that in the final film, but we show a nice, moving shot in the back here. So this is with the Sony A6300 on the crane. Ash is right here. You can kind of see her. She has the tight shot of the kiss. And then we have another static camera on a tripod over here shooting down the aisle, also getting the kiss. So that gives me a little bit of flexibility on the crane to get this cool kind of moving shot as I move across. So let's see here. Let's look at the before and then after. So the reason it's punching in is because I stabilized it to make sure it was nice and smooth. But this looks, I think this looks really good. Having the people on the bottom third, having them back here, looks really, really good. And then after I get that shot, I'm in the perfect position to get them coming back down the aisle. So I always like to grab this shot of them coming down the aisle. This is also a good transition shot in this particular film into the reception stuff that I wanted to show next. So nice shot of them coming down the aisle. And then what I'm doing is, so as soon as he finishes his last little part of his vow, I'm transitioning into, this is just the audio from the 6300 of the DJ kind of introducing them. And I am playing it ahead of time, and it just sort of, it brings you in, it kind of gets you ready for the next cut, and I think it's nice to just keep layering audio on there. So even as they're walking down the aisle, if you listen, you can hear the DJ.
As we welcome in the new Mr. and Mrs. Matrio.
Yeah, so I like this shot, this nice little push-in shot, just to get their reactions. This was a really long shot, and the whole thing really looked super epic. I had pulled, sweeped around to the side and followed them in, but for this, I just really wanted just this initial part. I love their, hands up. They're super happy. They're super excited, as you can see. Here you go, before and after. Again, the main thing that we're doing here is we're boosting the saturation. And that's pretty much all I have to do for my Sony footage, guys. With this LUT and the way that I kind of have everything set up, as long as I'm boosting the Sony footage with a little bit of saturation, it looks really good, and it matches the C100 almost perfectly. So I'm really happy with that. It actually makes my job really, really easy. And I think that this looks really awesome. I really love the way this LUT looks. I really love just the overall feel that we're getting from all this stuff. So we go from this right into a quick motion. We've got some good movement here. Not only are they moving a lot within the shot, but you can see that I'm moving the camera around them. They were super into dancing. We actually met this couple on the dance floor of another wedding that we were shooting about a month ago. And I knew from that these guys love to dance and that they were going to have a good time at their wedding. And they did not disappoint. They had a blast. The entire wedding was so fun. So I wanted to make sure that I worked that in and saved a lot of room here. So 15 seconds, which doesn't seem like a ton, but it's a big chunk of the film just for like dancing stuff, because I knew that was super important to them. And this was like something that was really unique about this wedding was how much dancing there was. And a lot of it was cultural and all this sorts of stuff. So I really wanted to work that in. So I love this, subtle movement, moving around them on the dance floor, right into one kind of wide shot to show that we're into the party dancing and just to show how full the dance floor was. So you can see right here, this is my light. This is my Felix, however you say it, P360. And, nice shot on here. It gives really nice contrast. Again, I wanted contrast. I had it a little bit brighter than I might normally and a little bit closer. Part of that had to do with just there wasn't a ton of space in this tent because there were so many people dancing. But also I just wanted a little bit harsher of a look, and I really liked that. So so nice little wide shot with a little bit of movement here. You can see as the people are moving this way, I'm moving the camera this way, and that just helps exaggerate that even more. So again, this is the 6300. I end up using a lot of the 6300 shots for this type of film just because they're usually the most epic. They have the most movement and they're kind of the most, cinematic. So this is a 6300 and you can see this is probably, I think I was shooting it around 2500 ISO and it looks nice and clean, no problems there. Let's look at a little before and after. So it looks good. I don't even do a ton of saturation pumping up on this one. It can stay a little bit more mellow during the reception stuff. But here's a really cool shot. Let's play it all the way through. Yeah, okay, so this is one of my favorite shots. So basically the way I got this shot is we recently purchased a little, it's a handle extender / feet for the crane. So basically it screws into the bottom, and it's probably 10 inches long, and it has these 3 feet that open up so I can set the crane down. But when I close them up, they basically just make the crane handle 10 inches longer. So what I was able to do is hold this all the way at the very end of the 10-inch extension on my crane, hold it as high above my head as I possibly could, and hold it straight out over top of her, almost pointing straight down. And I was able to tilt the screen just enough so I could see it. And then I kind of just waited for something to happen. And this is a really long shot in the raw clip itself, but you can see here that I just think this is super awesome as she spins towards the camera and her hand is pretty close to my camera. It's a 16mm lens, so it's actually pretty closer. It doesn't look as close in this shot as it actually was. But I thought this is cool just because it's a different perspective you wouldn't normally see. And here's the groom down here. This must be a thing that they do because they all did this a bunch of times during the dancing. They would all get down on one knee and clap at her as she was dancing and stuff, and she was super into the dancing. They both were, which was just so awesome. So love that shot. Just something different, something unique. Dancing can get kind of repetitive after a while, especially if it's a longer reception. So I always like to try and find things I can do to mix it up a little bit to diversify things. But again, you can see this is kind of before and after. Exposure and everything is pretty much spot on. Really just putting the LUT on here. Didn't even boost the saturation for this, just letting it be. And then I thought this was a cool shot to end on here. Maybe not a shot I would maybe normally end on. But yeah, so I just feel like the motion of it, so as they're moving and spinning around, kind of going this way, I'm going the opposite direction. So I'm physically moving this way while panning the camera to keeping them in the center. So I'm basically doing a parallax effect, the opposite way in which they're moving. So you can see as she moves that way, I'm moving the opposite direction. And I just love the way everything looks here with the way they had all these lights set up, and you can see the big crowd around them. And he's got, he's wearing the hat now, and he's got this shawl waist belt thing that all the girls were wearing. Somehow he ended up with it around his neck, and I just think it shows so much about them and their personality and how much fun this wedding was. And you can see how happy she is and how happy he is and all this stuff. And then, you know, they kind of come together at the end, which I felt like was just a really good place to sort of end it. And then still underneath of all of this, I don't know if you even noticed necessarily, but was the DJ was still talking from their intro and people cheering and all that kind of stuff. And right here, I actually had to cut and go to a different part because I think I was talking in my audio. But when I do this little cross fade here, you can't really tell a difference from like the clapping to more clapping, you know. So anyway, so I thought that was super cool. But yeah, so all these last few shots here were all A6300 from here all the way down. Literally all of them are 6300. But I just love the motion and the energy that I'm able to get with the 6300 for dancing shots and stuff like that. With just adding the right amount of movement in the right direction. And, oh, I think it's so good. So yeah. So there you have it. So that was their film. It came in right around 1 minute, which is perfect because I'm able to put the whole thing up on Instagram. We put it on Facebook. We kind of put it all over just to get people who were there excited about the film, to get them checking us out. And then when we do get the feature film put up, you know, a few weeks later, they're super amped about it. They're really excited to go watch it. So yeah, so that's it. That is the wedding film highlight sneak peek of Zack and Randa. Again, probably one of our favorite weddings. Super, super fun, super unique reception, and just a real blast. So hopefully you guys found this helpful. I hope you guys got some little nuggets out of this and you kind of like to see the behind the scenes of this. If you guys did like this and you want to see more content like this, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. If you really like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. That would be super, super appreciated. And yeah, until the next time, this has been Tyler from the Herritons. Thank you guys for checking this out, and we'll see you in the next one.